This is for those of you who are awake. I think I've been awake for 5 to 6 years now, partially awake prior to that. I have, over time, through research, realized that everything I was taught in school, our history, was a lie. All of it. It's all a lie. We haven't been told the truth about anything. I don't believe anything we've been told is the truth. It is so far off from the truth, it's scary. Who else on the side of being awake? Like, if you know you're awake, you know you're awake. But who else on the awake side are having a really hard time interacting with people who are completely asleep? Like, I can't just get together with people and be like, oh yeah, the weather is sports. Oh, how's the kids? And not talk about the fact our country's being invaded. We are losing. This is the fall of Rome. We are living through the fall of Rome right now. Our country is being invaded. Our government has been taken over. There was a coup involved. The people running our government right now are all paid off and corrupt. Every one of them. I don't care. Congress, Senate, House, it doesn't matter. I think most of them are compromised. They're not representing the people at all. And I'm just at the point where I want something to happen.
You know, it's very interesting when videos like the one I played at the very beginning of this video are starting to pop up and circulate more and more online, right? It seems like every day, every so often, right, you see a video of somebody waking up, right? Somebody starting to question the system, somebody starting to realize the lie and the deception that we've all been fed in this country, in the US, right? It seems like somebody is always waking up to the truth of what's going on in this country, right? We don't know who to turn to. Nobody knows. No, in the United States, it has gone to a point where nobody knows what to believe anymore. Nobody knows who to turn to. Nobody knows what's going on, right? Because you wake up, you see one thing happening in the news, and then the very next day it's the complete opposite, right? You don't know what's going on in the government. You don't know what your job is. You don't know what your purpose is. You don't even know why you're working, right? Aside from the fact that you've been told to work, you've been told you need a paycheck to pay rent. You've been told that, hey, if you don't pay bills, you can't survive, right? That's all you've been told. And most people don't know what's going on. And, you know, it's shown a complete distrust in the American system, right? Yet you still have these I'm a patriot till the very end individuals defend this country no matter what, regardless of the issues that are going on, regardless of the problems that are happening in this country. You have people who will defend this country in denial, just literally just straight in denial, and make it seem like, oh no, the US is fine, right? This is just a minor setback for a major comeback, right? Just telling themselves anything to make it seem like this country is still the greatest country on earth, when in reality, the cold hard truth of the matter is the US is not what it once was anymore. The United States isn't that one. It's still a superpower, don't get me wrong, but it's not that global superpower that it used to be, right? Decades ago, centuries ago. The US isn't that anymore. And I think that's what people are having a difficult time accepting, is that Pax Americana is over, right? The American empire is over, right? And I think a lot of people can't really accept that, because if you look around, right, you see more and more people just realizing and waking up to the lies that we've been told in this country. You're seeing more and more Americans leaving this country. You're seeing the administration deteriorating. You're seeing the administration not care about its fellow citizens in house, right? The administration, the current administration and the government care more about funding foreign wars, care more about giving aid to foreign countries, care more about giving Americans' tax dollars to, foreign entities, foreign countries, right? Caring more about other countries rather than the country itself, right? And then you're left with the American people to suffer. You're left with Americans to make videos like the one I played in this clip, right? You're left with Americans crashing out in their cars, just unable to afford anything, right? Wondering what their purpose is, wondering what is up from down, right? Left from right. Nobody knows what to believe anymore, you know? And it's gotten to a point where, quite frankly, you just don't know who to trust. You don't know where to turn to, right? People don't know what to do. People don't know what life they are living, right? And it's not even just that. It's like in this country, right? People no longer want to say anything to each other anymore. People are very closed off. People are very standoffish, right? Everybody's on the, oh, we don't want any new friends. We don't even want to speak to anybody walking down the street or passing us, right? We don't want to have, we don't want anything to do with any new people, right? That's how people are now. Now, it used to be a time, right? It used to be a time where you could go to the park, right? You could go to the park. You could just go by yourself sometimes, right? As a child, right? I'm 29, right? I was born in 1996, and I'll be 30 in 2 months. So for those of you that remember this time, correct me if I'm wrong. I grew up in the 2000s. There used to be a time, right, where you could just go to a park and you could just make friends with random kids, and you could just have fun, right? You could just enjoy. Everybody was friendly. We were all having a good time, right? People were just happy to be there. People were just happy to enjoy and have somebody to play with, right? Kids were happy to have somebody to play with. Kids were happy to just, meet new people, even adults, right? Adults, teenagers, adults, people were just a lot more friendly. People were a lot more just social, right? But fast forward to 2026, it's gotten to a point where nobody wants to talk anymore, right? Nobody wants to speak to one another. Nobody wants to say anything. Everybody's just so closed off. Everybody's so, oh well, I don't know you, so get away from me. Everybody's too, digitized. Everybody's digitized. Everything's digital. I get it, right? Everybody's too plugged in, and it has gone to a point where people are starting to realize like things aren't the same anymore. Something happened, right? Something happened to where there's like a global shift. There was a, honestly, it's a global shift, not even just America, but there was like a global shift, right? But the reason why I'm emphasizing America is because it seems like America is one of the countries that has been most affected, right? It seems like time is moving by faster. It seems like, people have lost their joy. Humanity is dead. It seems like people are soulless now. It seems like people have lost their, internal spirit. It seems like it's a spiritual warfare, right? It is a spiritual warfare to the point where, the war is being waged on the hearts and minds of millions of people. And I'm starting to realize that people are noticing it, right? People are starting to see what's going on. And quite frankly, the only thing it's only getting worse from here. And with the creation of these data centers that are happening, right? With the implementation of, people being more plugged in, people, just giving themselves or locking themselves in their rooms, right? Not wanting to go anywhere, not socializing, not doing anything, right? It's only it's a cause for disaster, right? It's a recipe for disaster that is just waiting to implode, to explode, right? And then and this is the funny part. When I talk about like, oh yeah, it's time to jump ship, it's time to leave the country, it's time to go do something else with your life, because America, man, like sooner or later this country is going to see the end. There's nothing there's no future in America. When I talk about things like that, you got people in the comment section, you got people always talking about, oh well, if you don't want to be here so badly, then leave, right? Okay, fair enough, right? Like, if you want to continue to live in denial, then hey, that's on you. But all I'm doing, like I said, is just reading the writing on the wall. All I'm doing is just exposing the reality of what's going on in this country. It's why so many people are leaving the US, right? It's why so many Americans, as well, are leaving the country, right? I told you, net negative migration. More Americans are leaving the country rather than people coming into the country, right? When have we experienced that? The Great Depression. That was the last time we experienced something like that, was the Great Depression, right? Yet you still have people wanting to pretend and stay in denial, like, oh, that's not happening. That's just a lie. It's just news media lie. No, it's not. Right? If you go on social media, if you go and ask people, right? Like people are starting to realize things, but I guess it's not the majority yet, right? And then, you start to, people are starting to question, like, what are they, like, people in the military as well, like, what are they fighting for, right? People start wondering, like, hey, what are we fighting for, right? We put our bodies on the line, we put our lives on the line, yet we don't really see any type of benefit for us. We don't see what's going on. You got veteran homelessness at an all-time high, right? You got things happening in this country that, quite frankly, are just distrusting, right? You don't know whether you can trust the government or not. I mean, I think it's safe to say in 2026 and beyond, the majority of Americans are not going to trust the American system, the American government, right? And in turn, they're just not going to trust the system at all. But more people are getting to that breaking point to where we're going to see a drastic shift in the country's economy. I mean, if not, if we're already not, right? But you're going to start seeing a very unconventional and drastic shift happening in this country to where the country is going to tear itself apart from the inside, right? And people are going to continue to be left struggling, unable to survive. And so you really have to ask yourself, right? If you can't trust the American system, if you can't trust your own political system, if you can't trust your own the system that you've been relying on for your whole life, right? What do you do? But I'm here to tell you, what you do is you create your own system, right? Especially with all of this political instability, how can you trust the American system when there's always some political issue going on? And I get it, right? Politics, political instability, political issues, that's an ongoing thing. That's always been an ongoing thing, right? But now it's starting to affect the common people, like directly affect the common people, like everyday average people, right? It's starting to affect people's pay. It's starting to affect their livelihood. And when you start affecting people's livelihood, that's when you got real instability. That's when you got real unpredictability and you don't know what's going to happen, right? America is just one big kettle, right? And the kettle is steaming, right? It's steaming to the point where sooner or later, if the steam is not, if the kettle is not removed from the hot from the boiler, it's gonna explode, right? America has gotten to that point. I don't even know if that was a good analogy, but you guys get what I'm trying to say, right? Right? America is just one big pressure tank. There we go. That's better. America is one big pressure tank, and soon that the pressure is building. The pressure is building as to people starting to realize and understand the lies that they've been told, even like, the lies that they've been told. And sooner or later, that pressure is going to get too great to the point where it's going to explode, and this country is going to explode with it, right? You can't even think back to the cartoons you used to watch, because the cartoons had some type of symbolism. They had some type of, you know, something messed up in it, right? Like, like, you start questioning everything, and once you start questioning everything and you start going down that rabbit hole, you can't unsee it anymore. And then what are you left? What are you left with? You're left with empty shells. You're left with people in empty shells, and then after that, you're just walking around with dead souls. So think about it. Think about where you're at right now and awaken yourself before it's too late. I'll see you guys in the next video.